I made lots of contents about this DJI Action 4 on my YouTube channel, but in today's video I'm going to customize the menu of this camera with you. Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on my channel. I'm Photorabs. I do videos about photography, filmmaking, camera tech related reviews, unboxings, action cams, vlogging kits and so on. If you're interested in these topics, I highly appreciate if you go subscribe to my channel. That's a massive help. And by the way, this video is not sponsored by DJI. I bought this camera myself, so this is my personal preferences about the menu of this camera. If you're interested, I highly appreciate if you watch this video till the end. The first thing that I did when I first got this camera is to change this ratio on the front screen to 16:9. And then I go to the menu of this camera to lower down the beep sound level of this camera. And directly out of the box, this camera is configured to turn off the display 5 minutes after it starts recording. So I prefer to turn this feature off because I prefer having the screen on, the display on when I'm recording with this camera. And then I make sure that the auto power off of this camera is set to 2 minutes. That means that if I don't use the camera for 2 minutes, it will automatically turn off, which is an amazing feature on this camera. And then I make sure that I'm recording in HEVC and not in H.264 to have the best quality possible out of this camera. And before I customize the menu of this camera according to my preferences, I go to the quick switch menu in order to add the time lapse because I use this camera from time to time to do some time lapses. And this DJI Action 4 allows us to have 5 custom modes that we can configure as we like according to our preferences, and then we can switch from one to another with the click of a button using the quick switch button on the side of this camera. Since I use this camera a lot for vlogging scenarios, so my first custom settings is gonna be dedicated to vlog, and here they are. I shoot in 4K 16:9, 25 frames per second, Rocksteady on. I do not choose the Rocksteady Plus because Rocksteady is more than enough for my vlogging scenarios. I shoot in Pro mode. Auto white balance, I pick the wide field of view because the ultra wide is very wide and the standard is very tight. I pick the normal color profile. I do not shoot in D-Log M because I don't like to color correct my footages later on. The low light image enhancement is set to auto, and the image adjustment, I pick the portrait mode because I find it suitable for vlogs. Concerning the exposure, everything is set to auto except of the ISO. I try to keep it between 100 and 1600 in order to have less noise or the lowest noise possible on my footages. And sometimes when I vlog with this camera, I use an external microphone, so I try to keep the levels, the gain level of this camera very low, maybe around -5, -6. And now everything I have to do is to swipe down to click on this icon here, and then I can create my first custom settings. So here is my first custom settings dedicated to vlog scenarios. I think that lots of you will have some other preferences, but these are mine. Once again, these are not the ideal custom settings for vlogs, but I prefer to have this one. It's easy to do. You don't think a lot before doing your vlogs. You only get your camera out and you start talking, you start vlogging. That's something that I really like about this DJI Action 4. And now the second custom settings mode from C2 to C5 is gonna be dedicated to cinematic shots that I can do with this camera. For the first cinematic custom mode with this camera, I choose 4K 25 frames per second, Rocksteady on, 16:9 ratio. And then I choose the exposure set to manual, the shutter speed 1/50, the ISO from 100 to 400 because mainly I do my cinematic shots outdoors, so this is very satisfying for me. And then I keep the color profile to normal, the field of view to wide. I remove the low light image enhancement, and for this image enhancement mode, I go to custom. I take the sharpness to 0, the noise reduction to 0, and that's it. I do not care about the audio levels because when I'm doing some cinematic shots, normally I care only about the image quality. And then I swipe down, I click on this button, pick C2, and that's it. My second cinematic custom mode on this camera is gonna be the same as the first one, except that I'll put the low light image enhancement to on, to auto, and not off. That will be my second cinematic custom mode on this camera. My third cinematic custom mode is gonna be about the 100 frames per second, so I can slow down my footages 4 times because I work with timelines of 25 frames per second. So this is gonna be my third cinematic mode, and I'll choose the Rocksteady 16:9 4K because now I have 100 frames per second. I have to adjust the exposure to 1/200, and then I can go up with the ISO a little bit to 800 or even to 1600. That's very acceptable. And then everything I keep it as it is, no problems at all. And then I can save this one as the C4 menu. And I still have one custom mode that I can pre-configure on this camera. It's gonna be a cinematic mode with 100 frames per second, but this time in D-Log-M and not in normal color profile, in case I would like to do some cinematic shots and I would like to color grade them afterwards. I can do it with this custom mode. And voila, here are my 5 preferred custom modes for this DJI Action 4. I can go with this quick switch button to switch between the different modes. And that was it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done it. Check my affiliate links in the description below. I have lots of promo codes, lots of good deals about photography and videography products. You can save some money and I can get some small commissions that helps the channel a lot. And thank you for watching. Ciao for now.